What are we doing this for?
Hey everybody. This video series talks about landowners working together across property lines to manage the whitetail deer. In today's video, we're talking about getting to know new neighbors when buying or leasing a new piece of ground. I got a good friend of mine with me, Luke. And hey, Luke.
Hey, Damon.
He recently purchased a piece of property, and he did something that was really very, very simple, yet I just thought it was so amazing to reach out and start the relationship with his new neighbors. So there's no better way to talk about it and really get into the nuts and bolts of how amazing I thought it was than having Luke here with us. So
Well, happy to be here. I'm not sure that it's anything groundbreaking, but we'll see where this goes. So you said you had some questions for me?
Yeah. So just what were your goals when purchasing the piece of property?
Well, I've been looking for some, recreational property for a little while, and this came available. And we acted pretty quick. It was a pretty good buy. So the reason we had purchased it was, for one, it was an investment, but for two, liking the outdoors, hunting and such, this was a really good piece for that. It's, kind of in an area that's pretty secluded, and I know there's some pretty good deer in the area. So we acted pretty quick, and we scooped it up. So yeah, my goal is investment, but also hunting is really the primary use that we're going to be having with it. A little bit of maybe camping, but hunting.
So what is this big thing that you did to get in contact with your neighbors?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. All I did was I went on to Onyx and pulled up a lot of the landowner, the adjacent landowners to the property that I purchased. So I bought 40 acres. It's a typical square, and 4 sides to it. So anybody that would potentially be walking onto my property or nearby, I took and wrote up a letter, and I found their names and their addresses through Onyx, and I wrote them a nice little letter, put a screenshot of where my property was, pinned it and screenshotted, and then a picture of my family, and sent it off to them. I sent off, I want to say, so two of the sides of mine are owned by public property, and the access is through public. So one of my long-term goals is to, gain or acquire an easement. So, that was a big reason for writing this letter, is to get to know them on a hunting level, but also so I could potentially have an easement into them. But I think the best way to do that and the best way to be neighborly is to introduce yourself. So.
And what can you show us a little shot of the letter? Maybe
Yeah.
Just give us you don't need to read it, but give us what it says and what the thinking was behind it.
Yeah. So you can see there's the screenshot, there's the words, and then a picture of the family with my contact information at the bottom. And basically, I can read it real quick. It's not a long letter. Is that okay?
Sure.
Oh, all right. It says, my name is Luke. I'm sending you this letter to introduce my family. We are the Lanes, and we recently purchased 40 acres of property from so-and-so that is located near a property you own. We live in Neenah and intend to use the property for recreational purposes. I said, it's our intent to be good neighbors, and we thought it would be nice for you to have contact information should you need it in the future. We will respect the property lines and not enter your property without express permission. If you need to enter our property, please be sure to give us a call or text before entering. It says, unless it's an emergency, then just go in and let us know afterwards, please. We're looking forward to meeting you and building a strong relationship moving forward. If there's anything we can do or should know, or if you see anything suspicious, please contact us and we'll be sure to return the favor. If you feel inclined, please relay if you feel inclined, please reply with contact information so we can reach you should the need arise. It said cheers, and then, has our names on there. So pretty simple little letter, but I think it was important to just be very direct with them and here's who we are, here's what our what we're doing with this property, and here's what we expect, and here's what you can expect. I thought that very, very to the point, but also in a friendly way.
It's so awesome. It's one. I mean, this is something that I'm deeply passionate about, but you've always had a way with words, and it was a great letter. I mean, it makes me want to jump up and down because it's just how I wish all neighbors, especially hunting neighbors, would kind of treat each other. And what a great way to start off on the right foot.
Now, one thing you noticed, or maybe you didn't notice, but one thing that's almost out of the whole letter entirely is the word hunting or deer or anything very specific to that. It just says we intend to use it for recreational purposes. Now, that could pretty much mean anything you'd like: four-wheeler, camping, hiking, bird watching, doesn't really matter. But just it didn't really say we're in this to hunt, and even though that is probably the primary focus for it. But and I think that it's really kind of secondary to being a good neighbor. You'll saying watch your own bobber. I'm not going to worry about them, what they're doing on their property. I would expect the same in return on some level. Now, that all being said, if we can somewhat work together, that's a good thing too. So if we're all having the same goals, that's even easier yet. But chances are there's going to be a little bit of variation, and that's okay. So
how did it work? What have the results been?
Well, two things. When you're sending out letters, don't go off to Onyx addresses because they don't update fast enough. So I would go off your county because a little bit of that was outdated. And one of the properties that bordered me, the guy had moved and sold it to one of the other neighbors that I had already sent a letter to. But he actually called me. He was the first one to respond. I sent it out, and I mean, it was 2 days later. They must have all gotten them because I had like 3 calls that day in the evening. So they must have gotten it that day and then called. But he called and he gave me the scoop on everything and said, oh yeah, there's good deer there, and these people are deer hunters, and this is what you can expect from the neighbors, and this is who I sold my property to, and and all of that. So it was really nice to kind of get that information. And then about as soon as I hung up the phone from him, the phone rang again, and it was one of the neighbors to my east, and he was very, very nice as well. And he had been there for quite a while and told me about his history with his property and what they're doing, and mentioned again that there's some pretty big deer in the area, and they really like hunting and some of that stuff. So that was nice to hear. And then third guy called, or actually he texted me, but he was working, and then we ended up calling and speaking. And he was the one that had purchased the property from the first person who called me that bordered me to the south. So he was one that both of the other neighbors, or both the other people I talked to, had kind of said that he might be a little bit hard to handle, but he seemed super nice, and was really actually great talking to him. And I also found out that since he had bought that property, he was getting it all surveyed along that would have been my southern border. So that was really nice to know. So we've got nice and good boundaries in there now that are very visible, and it's really nice. Then I've gotten another letter from another neighbor, and I think one other letter. I'm sorry, 2 other letters. So I've had a total of like 5 people call me or respond out of 9 letters. So that was, and then the ones that did not reply were actually the ones that were not immediately bordering me. They were the ones that were kind of set back a little bit, that I thought, down the road maybe would be, nice to know. So
right.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good success. I was very, very happy with how it went. So
yeah, it seemed like you were a little surprised at the response and how fast it was, and
it was immediate. It was like they got it. They came home from work they read it and they called me. Like, they didn't set it down before they called me. They held it in their hand and dialed the phone. That's how fast it seemed like it happened. So that was neat.
What a great start. 40 acres, and it seems like you're going to have some really great hunting on the property as well.
Well, hopefully, you never know. I mean, it should be good. So, but yeah, it's another thing after, when I talked to, and this is kind of interesting. The neighbor to myself, he's like, yeah, I bought this property up and there didn't used to be much for deer here, but over the years we've been really trying to manage things and it's been getting a lot better. And he goes, since I bought this other property, he has some equipment, and he said he put in a big food plot and was able to clear some stuff, and he even made the comment that if I ever needed some clearing done, to let him know. So that's really kind of a nice thing to have, I guess, a neighbor that's willing to come up and help out with stuff. And I'm sure he's not going to do that with somebody who he wouldn't have offered if I hadn't at least extended an olive branch to him. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, is there anything else that you would want to tell people? Any advice? Is there anything you would have done differently if you had to do it again?
A couple things that I think really makes a difference is not every neighbor knows every neighbor. As crazy as that sounds, out in the rural stuff, I mean, a lot of times you'll kind of know who owns what, but especially if it's bordering you kind of know the name, if nothing else. But I think it really helped to put that map with the property that I purchased, so there's a visual and there's just no question on what it is. Also, the picture of the family. If you've got kids and such, which I do, that's they are an asset in that level. Use them. It just makes you more relatable, and it makes you a family person, which you should be before your hunter anyhow. I mean, your family should come first.
Right.
So, that's great. And, through conversation with these people, it's, both of them brought up deer hunting, and we spoke a little bit about it, but, that can be kind of a delicate topic. So, it was just one of those, I tried to, at least in the initial conversation with them, really very lightly brush over it and not really get into, this is what I want and this is what needs to happen.
Right.
It was more listening to what they had to say, because they've been there for a lot longer than I have, and they've got some really good information that they were pretty happy to share, it seemed like. So I did tell them I have some kids, and once they start shooting, I'm not going to tell them not to shoot.
Right.
Kind of made that comment, and both of them had said, that's awesome.
So great. I mean, I don't think we need to go any further. I think the results speak for themselves. It was so great to have you share that with me, and for us to be able to share it with everyone. And I plan on putting a template up on my website, Internal Flame Outdoors. So, anybody who wants it can have access to the template.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Luke?
If you're wondering why they haven't reached out to you, they're probably wondering the same thing. So take the step. Why, they're probably wondering why you haven't reached out to them. The same thing. So make it happen. Go for it. What have you got to lose? Nothing.
I love it. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.